Scorpio.
Hey Scorpio, this is your forecast for May 2015, and I trust that you've now come through these eclipses that we've had. We had the total solar eclipse there, March 20th, in your 5th house area, which has to do with children, self-expression, the business that you own, creativity, and so forth. And the lunar eclipse there on April 4th, which we also call a blood moon, was in your 12th house for your inner self. It's the inner sanctuary, your spiritual self. And so that eclipse more kind of let you feel the depth and the meaning of what it is to have time for self and create that sanctuary that is so important to rebalance elements in your life. Now, as we're talking about moons, we're going to talk about the upcoming moons here in May. We have the full moon here, 13 degrees in your sign this month, Scorpio. So that's going to be in your 1st house. And the 1st house is all about self, the I am. And so for you, it's going to illuminate you somehow, celebrate you, I feel. And your importance, not just to who you are, but how it is you share yourself out and project your energies out into the world. This full moon will have somewhat of a square here to Jupiter up in your 10th house for career. So you might also be feeling a little bit of a tug here where maybe something at work is calling you, or where you're worrying about something at work. But then again, it is your time right here, right now, to focus on self. So a little bit of a balance point there on the 3rd. Now, May 17th is when we have the new moon. The new moon this month here for you is in your 7th house for love and relationships, committed relationships. 17th of May is also the time to write your abundance check to yourself. And if you don't know how to write it out, there is a video here on my channel. Just click and go to it. It will show you how we do this on the new moon, and we keep it there until the next period, when we just tear up the old one and write a new one next month. It's by the law of attraction, how we can draw to us, how we can attract more prosperity and wealth in our life. It's worth trying. So 17th of May also is the Norwegian National Day, så gratulerer med dagen, alle I Norge. Yes, and we're moving on here because I want to speak a little bit about this month before we get into it. It's going to be a little bit of a challenging month. And it is, I believe, also a consequence from these eclipses. Eclipses denotes change, and we don't have growth without change. And when eclipses comes, it's more like the universe is giving us a kick in behind so that we can move forward quicker, faster onto that super highway. And so, but as we're shifting from the old patterns, which it's closing down on, and before the new is totally revealed, well, we're kind of in between. We have a term in Norwegian called brakvann, which is where the ocean meets a river, and it's right here in the middle. It's neither salt water or fresh water. It's something in between. And this is what we're doing here in May. So be patient and try to become the observer rather than the participant, and you'll get through this month that much easier. Trust me. When we're the participant, then we feel all these human emotions, right? And we can get frustrated when there's a lot of roadblocks, and we're going to have one after the other. When we're the participant, then we're up at this higher vantage point looking down at our lives and what's taking place. And when we're just observing, there's no emotion in observation. There's no feeling. It's easier just to see how all the bits and pieces of the puzzle actually now is going to start coming together. So let's start. Top of the month, what we can expect here. And Scorpio, on the 3rd, we have Mercury and Saturn opposing one another. So it's communication with some higher up, somebody that you see as authority figure, but it could be your own inner authority as well, in some kind of communication here that might not see totally eye to eye. And so there's adjustments going on here. On the 4th, the Sun, which is you, is squaring up on Jupiter. Now, Jupiter wants to expand, but you're a little hesitant due to what took place on the 3rd, and that's okay. You don't want to move forward quite yet. When we have these squares, it's more like Jupiter is asking you to. Are you sure you want to move ahead, or do you want to wait? And it's more like, you know how they say, careful what you ask for because you might get it? Well, that's what Jupiter is trying to put a little roadblock on right now, to not move ahead too quickly, because you might just get what you're asking for. There's so much more happening throughout this month that however much you can hold back your horses, it is going to be that much better for you, because right now you're laying a new foundation, not just for the weeks and months ahead, but years ahead. So here we have the 9th, Mercury and Neptune, they're squaring. For you, it's going to be in the area of money you hold with a partner. Neptune being in the 5th house here with children. So you might want to go get something for your children. Your partner might say, well, let's hold off on it. So you're going to have that talk. If you have a business that you personally are running, well, then that too becomes something that you want to evaluate. On the 15th, Mars, which is your drive and action and ambition, it is in the 7th house for your other, meaning your spouse. So you might be moving ahead here, and then Saturn being in your 2nd house for money and income is kind of asking, well, is this what you want? Okay, once again, the devil's advocate is out to question you. Are you sure about your direction right now? Because, especially because Saturn is retrograde, it's having you look back over maybe something that took place some months ago, and here we are, we're visiting it again. So you will have that to deal with. On the 16th, we have a nice romantic date. This is Venus and Neptune. For you, Scorpio, that Venus is in your 8th house. No, I'm sorry, it has moved. It is in your 9th house, in the sign of Cancer. So a Neptune here in your 5th house. So this is a time for you to really feel emotionally content and good. And it's like this little island out in the middle of the ocean, because it's been a little tough, and here you have something romantic. So circle that on your chart. On the 22nd, straight throughout the rest of the month, we have squares, we have oppositions, we got squares and oppositions. So let's take them one by one. Venus now in your 9th house has to do with higher understanding for you, Scorpio. Venus is also what you love and treasure, and you're wanting here to expand this spiritual, philosophical side of your life, which is so important as an ingredient for you. And then Pluto here is in the 3rd house, opposing it, and it might have something to do with travel. Maybe you're wanting to travel, maybe you can't make it work this time around for whatever reasons, but then see it as for what it is, a blessing in disguise. Perhaps only maybe later you'll come to figure out why. On the 23rd, we have the Sun, your essence, and Saturn also opposing one another. And this is again the devil's advocate coming out and testing you. And you might feel now that you're starting to build a little frustration, because it's like whatever you touch, it's not working. This is the month of Murphy's Law, right? So lay low, be the observer. 25th and 6th, we got 2 squares. First, it's Venus, which is love, but could also be money matters. It's squaring up on Uranus here. Uranus being in your 6th house and Venus in your 9th house. So it could be co-workers. The 9th house is also law or papers and documents that needs to pass, maybe a city guarantee or whatever. You could see that this too needs to be adjusted somewhat. We have Mars squaring off on Neptune on the 26th. Mars is your drive. You've been hoping here in Neptune that something really now would go smoothly, and then Mars is up against this roadblock, and you put fire and water together, you know, it's like the fire kind of fizzles out. So by the 27th, it looks like you've had it like up to there, and Mercury, communication, is conjunct Mars, so you might just feel the need now to kind of let that out, to vent it, or somebody around you might be venting because he or she or they are all experiencing the very same things, but just in different areas of their charts if they're not Scorpio. And think about the big scale, socially, globally, what some countries might be going through with all of these energies too. So we're probably going to see a lot in the news here in May. So 29th, 31st, Mercury and Neptune is square. So news that you were waiting, expecting for, maybe you had a date set up, and then suddenly that's going to fall apart as well. Or hopes and dreams not really being fulfilled. Neptune and the Sun right behind it, also square. So some disappointments. Maybe you'll feel the bubble is going to burst, and this is now up in your area there of the 8th house, and coming down to Neptune, which is the 5th house. So there could be things that needs to be balanced or tweaked within children, your creativity, your self-expression. You might feel a little deflated perhaps right now, but even this shall pass, okay? Let's just talk about the romantic side of life this month. We start off top of the month with Venus in Gemini. So that's communicative. You're able to express and come out with your deeper, intimate thoughts being in the 8th house. Then after May 8th, it moves into the 9th house, which is more now open and philosophical, and Venus really wants to travel, experience, and take in things that are good for body, soul, and mind. It's in the sign now of Cancer, which really, you know, is family oriented, whether it's the physical family or the spiritual family. Then we have Mars starting out in the month here in that 8th house of money that you might have with shared resources until the 13th, and then Mars is going to be moving here. No, I'm sorry, it's starting off in your relationship house from the 1st to the 13th, and this is where you will be feeling there's a lot of dynamic interaction between you and your significant other, and then it's going to shift into the resource house where you share with your partner from the 13th and onward. So, you know, it is a little different this month, and but I feel it's going to be great news here in June when looking ahead, when we're out of the squares, we're out of the oppositions. So this month is all about negotiation, listening to the other side. It's when we don't listen to our opponents that we have this. But if we can listen to and understand, especially politically, globally, we need to listen to the other end so we don't have that run-in. So hopefully that we can see too that the global news will be better than what we're actually looking at right here. But listen, it's good speaking to you as always, Scorpio, and looking forward to see you next month. So make sure to subscribe so you get the update of what you can expect in June. So have a good month, everybody.